Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. This is your friend Borne Lee Hoodley Oxhorn, and with Fallout 4 mods for the PS4 resurrected recently, it's time to speculate. What kind of mods will we see on the PS4? Now do bear in mind that Bethesda announced a big limitation with their PS4 mods. Unlike Xbox and PC mods, PS4 mods will not be allowed to have any loose files. No meshes, no textures, no scripts, no new added assets. Mod authors are only allowed to use what's already in the game to make their mods. That is a huge limitation, and unlike what Bethesda said in their announcement, it disqualifies the majority of mods out there. I went through over 20 different mods trying to find some that I felt had the possibility of being ported over to the PS4, or at least being made specifically for it. Here is the list that I came up with. Number 1. HOMEMAKER by NOWCORU. HOMEMAKER takes many of the building and decorations that you find in Fallout 4 and adds them to your workshop so that you can build them. For example, there's an entire bunker build set. You normally can't build bunkers with the Fallout 4 settlement system, but with HOMEMAKER, you can. Additionally, there's an entire Institute build set where you can build a headquarters that looks like an Institute lab. And it gives you access to many different wall textures and building textures that you find in some of the collapsed and dilapidated buildings around Boston. Now this mod does have some unique textures and meshes, so if it ever makes its way to the PlayStation 4, you probably won't see it in exactly the way it is now. But since it's comprised of primarily a recombination of vanilla assets, a mod like this one is very likely to appear for the PlayStation 4 when mods are released. Number 2. Spring Cleaning by NVRJOS. This mod allows you to clean up those settlements and get rid of all that pesky garbage and trash and debris that litters your settlements. It opens up many of the decals to the settlement scrap menu that you otherwise didn't have access to. On the PC, you could sometimes select them using the console and disable them, but you couldn't do that on the Xbox or the PS4, and this is a much more efficient way to go about it. You also get scrap items deposited into your inventory that are lore-friendly and fit with the items that you've scrapped. For example, if you scrap a big pile of dirt and gunk, you'll sometimes get fertilizer deposited into your workshop. Now, of all the mods I've talked about so far in this video, this one is one of the most likely to appear on the PlayStation 4, because you don't actually download any scripts, any meshes, any textures, any BA2 files. It's one simple ESP that you install that allows you to scrap trash and garbage in your settlements. Again, I haven't seen any confirmation from the mod author that this is going to be ported over to the PS4, but a mod like this should be fairly simple to put on the PS4 and will likely appear at some point. Number 3. The unofficial Fallout 4 patch by ARTHMOOR. Bethesda is notorious for releasing bugged games to the point where they're often nicknamed Bugthesda, and Fallout 4 is no exception. There are so many bugs with this game that go beyond simple cosmetic issues that actually break the way the game is supposed to work, and Bethesda hasn't gotten around to fixing them. Thankfully, there are very talented modders like ARTHMOOR who have dedicated their time to fixing these issues that Bethesda forgot. These include fixing floating skeletons, fixing quests, moving objects that block your path through a building, fixing clipping issues between objects and the ground, making items that are supposed to be accessible, and making items that are supposed to be inaccessible. The list goes on and on. The mod meticulously goes through Fallout 4 and fixes issues ranging from game-breaking bugs to simple misspelled words. It's a great mod to install on a brand new playthrough so that you don't miss anything. Now, there are some things this mod fixes that will not make its way to the PS4. The mod comes with many megabytes worth of brand new scripts, rewritten scripts, mesh fixes, and so on and so forth. And since Sony bans us from uploading our own assets, those things sadly will never get fixed. However, the mod does make other changes simply using the creation kit that should be able to be packaged in an ESP that Sony will accept. Now, ARTHMOOR has published the mod to the Xbox One, so that's hope that he'll also plan to make a PS4 version, but we don't know for sure. Number 4. Legendary Modification by TEALZ. This is a handy little mod that allows you to add legendary effects to armor and weapons from your armor and weapon workbench. Legendary weapons drop like candy, especially on survival and very hard mode. Late in the game, you'll have containers absolutely filled with legendary weapons that you just don't use. There's a cheat version of the mod that just simply allows you to add legendary effects onto weapons, or you could use the lore-friendly version that requires that you remove a legendary effect from another weapon so that you can then put it onto the weapon of your choice. It's a great mod that allows you to produce the gear that you need to run with the build that you want. It is also a really lightweight mod. It doesn't come with any external assets, it's just a simple ESP, which means that it already fits the qualifications for Sony. We don't know if this mod specifically will appear on the PS4 when mods are available, but a mod like it surely will. Number 5. Craftable Guns and Weapons by VAZERONI 1. After you install this mod, you find a new workbench in your settlement build system called Weapon Crafting Station. Place that in your settlement and then access it to craft any weapon that you want. It's nicely organized by type of weapon, energy weapons, small arms, heavy weapons, and so on. And then just choose the one you want and craft it. This is great for those who really don't want to have to go out and farm for the specific weapons that they want. Maybe they're using the legendary weapon modification, or they've got a bunch of mods that they're not using, or they just really quickly want to equip a settler or a companion, and they don't have access to a console on the PC to generate one. You can use a mod like this to just craft any weapon that you want. This is another great lightweight mod that just installs one simple ESP. It doesn't install any other textures or files, making it a great candidate for the PS4. Number 6. Concealed Armors by NISAS. This great little mod turns armor pieces invisible. This can be useful if you found an Under Armour that you really like, or you hate the look of that dreaded huge synth chest piece or something like that. If you want the benefit of wearing the armor, you just don't want it to appear on your body, you can make it invisible from the armor crafting station using this mod. To get it to work, equip the armor or have it in your inventory, go to an armor crafting station, and then edit the armor. You'll find a new category called Visibility. Go into Visibility, and you can choose the style of the armor that you want. Let's say you want a light piece of armor to look like a heavy piece, or vice versa. Or you can simply choose Concealed, and that makes it invisible. You can do that for every piece of armor, with the exception of the helmet. I don't think you can turn helmets off, although I haven't tested that recently. Once done, you've got a full suit of armor equipped, but it simply doesn't appear on your character's body. Now, the one caveat to this mod is that it does require a transparent NIF file. This is basically the mesh that is used to replace the armor so that it simply looks invisible, but it's really loading an invisible mesh. Now, that is an external asset, but I'm pretty sure you could reproduce a mod like this by simply turning visibility off or loading some other mesh that already exists in the game that happens to be transparent. This mod, as it is today, probably would not appear on the PS4, but one like it could probably be easily made and published to the PS4. Number 7, Immersive Scrapping by XCYTRESS. This mod gives you realistic components from the items that you scrap during the game. Have you ever been really frustrated when you go to a new settlement and you scrap a truck and you get 10 steel? Or you scrap an entire grove of trees and you get 2 wood? It doesn't make any sense. The mod author had the same frustrations and thought, you know what, this is ridiculous. So the mod author went through and re-evaluated every single item that you can scrap in the game and produced a mod that gives you a realistic number of scrap items from the things you can scrap. It not only works with items in settlements when you're scrapping items in a settlement, but also when you scrap weapons. Instead of getting 1 steel when you scrap an automatic rifle, for example, you get an entire stack of steel. It makes a whole lot more sense. Now, there are some other mods out there that do scrapping in a similar way, but this one I have found gives you the most realistic scrap items for every item that you scrap. This is another really lightweight mod that just alters a simple ESP, so this mod or a mod like it should appear on the PlayStation 4 when mods are available. And finally, number 8 is Manufacturing Extended by KENTINGTON. This mod is already available on the Xbox One and the PC, and the way it works is it takes the machinery, the conveyor belts and the extractors, and the forges in particular, and opens them up to give them new functionality. For example, the Contraptions Workshop did not come with a melee or fist weapon forge, so Manufacturing Extended built a melee and fist weapon forge, also a power armor forge. It has some unique tools like an object extractor. Put it next to a workbench and it'll pull items from the workbench and shoot them out over a conveyor belt, and a component extractor. And what it does is it pulls items out of your workshop and then breaks them down into their base components and then spits out those base components into your conveyor system. It has a distillery that produces alcohol or Nuka-Cola, an auto butcher that chops up corpses and turns them into meat, bone, leather, and other resources, an ammunition plant that produces Far Harbor ammunition, and a bunch of other really, really cool stuff. Now, this mod does come with external scripts, but since it only alters vanilla game assets, you'd think that there's a way that you could get a mod like this to work without needing excess scripts, kind of like the weapons forge that we covered earlier. That one didn't need any third-party assets or excess scripts, and you'd think that something that allows you to craft Far Harbor ammunition or break down a corpse into fertilizer and leather would be able to function along the same lines. I'm not entirely sure on that. I'm not a mod author, but since this mod only really uses in-game assets, you would think that there's a way to get it to work for the PlayStation 4. So that's why I'm including it as number 8 in this mod overview. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Those are my best guesses as the kinds of mods that we're going to see on the PlayStation 4 when Fallout 4 mods appear. The inability to use custom assets like scripts, meshes, and textures is a huge burden for mod authors. Many of the mods I covered today would need to be completely remade in order to function on the PS4, and some mod authors might not want to do it. Additionally, some of these mods I covered are old, and the mod authors might have moved on to other things. Really, the PS4 is getting mods so late in the game that it's going to take a new generation of mod authors to populate the PS4 mod marketplace with new, clever, and interesting mods to improve the gameplay of Fallout 4 on the PS4. So what do you think? Do you agree with my assessment? Are there other mods out there that you think would be a great match for the PS4? Let me know in the comments below. Please subscribe here on YouTube for more Fallout 4 and Fallout 4 mod content. I produce a new video every day. And if you like what I do and you want to support me personally, head on over to Patreon where you can become my patron. Patreon supporters get access to my private Discord server and gain access to a bunch of other cool Oxhorn perks. But more than anything, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to thank you all so very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow with a new video.